Hey everybody, it's Friday. Welcome to the Whiteboard. Let's see what God has for us today as we look at 1 Chronicles 16:12, where it says, "Remember the wondrous works that he has done, his miracles and the judgments he uttered." I think it's really important for us as believers not only to say that we believe in Jesus or say that we believe in his miracles or his judgments or the works of his hands. Those things are great and we're supposed to do that. But notice the call that the chronicler encourages us to do. I think it's found in the very first word, to remember it. The reason we're called to remember it is pretty basic. Sometimes we forget. And when we forget, we get sidetracked. And when we get sidetracked, we start making decisions and choices and judgments based on our own wills, based on our own perceived ingenuity or our smarts or what we think is best for ourselves. And we forget ever so subtly that God's perspective and God's way of doing things is really the best way, even when we don't feel like it, because we're fallen people. We mess up so much, and the idea that God never messes up, that his judgments for us are always good. And so when we remember certain things about God to keep ourselves in alignment with him, what do we remember about God? We remember his wondrous work in our lives, the things that he has delivered us from, ourselves, the things that we say and do and the ways we think and treat other people, that we remember his work that he's done in our lives and that we've seen him do in other people's lives. But we don't stop there. Remember, that's a comma, not a period. So we're going to go on and talk about some other things. What else has he done? Or what else has he done for us? He's done miracles in our lives. When we think about miracles, we usually think of the feeding of the 5,000 or raising the dead. But those are big and important things, but miracles are something that only God can do in our life. I can't redeem myself. I can't change myself in the way that God can change me. I can't convict myself to change and go toward godliness because, honestly, I have a fallen nature, and that's not within me to do. When we look at the miracles of God, it's not only healing lepers and raising the dead. The miracle happens when he changes your heart. And yes, that is a miracle. That's not just a quaint saying that I'm trying to communicate. Jesus, when he corrects your heart and he changes your heart and transforms your heart from sometimes even a lost condition to a redeemed position, that is miraculous because we can't do this on our own. And so he works things for our good and his glory. He performs miracles in our lives, whether we recognize it or not. And he also does this, and the judgments that he uttered. Now, the word judgments can often have a negative connotation in our society. Like, don't judge me, or we shouldn't be judgmental. This is just a ruling from authority, okay? And when people say, only God can judge me, that's absolutely right, because he is the only one who can. Therefore, when God says something about something, his judgments on the issue are perfect. His judgments on the issue are the final say-so, not our own, not our desires about it, or not how we feel about it. It's his idea and his final say-so that is the most important. So what should we as believers remember about the character of God? That he's done wondrous works in our life. We should never forget that. We should never forget the miraculous work that he's done in our hearts and in our minds and in the hearts and minds of our family and our friends, and always be humble and gracious to acknowledge that God does these miracles because he is loving and gracious and not because we've earned them. And that we should remember that when God says something, it is his judgment. It is his perception on something that really matters. That is the most important thing. So take that with you. Remember his work, remember his miracles, and remember his judgments so that we can keep ourselves focused on him and glorifying him in everything we say and do. Okay? Hey, This has been the Whiteboard with Pastor Stephen. We'll see you next Friday.